Thanks for staying with us. Now, the production and distribution of film and audiovisual works is one of the most dynamic growth sector in the world. Thanks to digital technologies, production has been growing rapidly in Africa in recent years. The case of Nollywood, with about 2,500 films made each year, is emblematic in this respect. Now, it has enabled the emergence of a local industry of production and distribution with its own economic model. Yet across most of the continent, the economic potential of the film and audiovisual sector remains largely untapped. Now, do you believe that there are opportunities in Nigerian filmmaking space? If it is yes, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-80384663. So I'm going to ask Elsie and Jennifer in a minute. What do you think? Do you think there are opportunities in the film industry, and are we actually doing well as a film industry in Nigeria? Let's localize it.
The question is, our response to both is yes. Of course, there are opportunities, and we're doing well in terms of tapping into the opportunities as well as we can, based on the resources available. But can we do better? Yes. Do we need more funding? Yes. Do we need infrastructure, especially? Yes. So I think yes to both questions as far as I'm concerned.
How about you, Jennifer?
Yeah, I think the film industry has been doing well. They need more funding, definitely. But I think sometimes I have a problem with some of the production or the direction of these movies and how they are being acted. And then sometimes when you see the actors and actresses, you can tell that a lot of work wasn't put into that. You basically just came on sets and you just read the scripts and did anyhow. And then you're looking, you at home, you're watching it, you're like, I feel like I can do better than this. Like, why? And I think the most annoying part of it is when you see veterans, people who have been in the movie industry for a very long time. You've seen how much work they've put into it. And now in 2021, 2022, the standard of movies that they act in is not even on the same level as the movies they used to act in, 5-10 years ago. And I don't know why. I think there was a debate one time on Twitter and people said, well, they are looking for money. They need to eat. And I said, yeah, I understand that you need to eat, but still, you can still put out good work. But sometimes I also heard that it is not their fault. Sometimes it could come from the scriptwriter, or it could come from the production team, or from the director.
So I think the first start for any good movie or any film, whatever, should be the story, right? If you do not have a good story, I don't know what you're going to churn out. And I think for me, we have very very weak stories that we tell in the name of movies. And if you give me the opportunity to access the film industry, I say we are doing very poorly. Because why? Nigeria is, even amidst the myriad of challenges that we have in Nigeria, it's the best opportunity for filmmakers to actually, you understand, just open us to a whole new world. But they are not even tapping, they're not scratching it. Every filmmaker is trying to play it safe because they believe that all of us, we are dullard. We just want to go into the cinema, we want to laugh. They are not taking their time to bring storylines that when you come out of that movie, you are like transfixed, like, what did I just watch? We don't have all those things. So for me, we're not tapping any potential at all.
Okay. See, today I don't even have energy.
No, we're not here for fighting. Let's bring in our professor, yeah?
There is a bit of truth in them saying they are giving the audience what they want. Because we have seen movies, I'm trying to remember the movie now, the one I reviewed with Amaka Okoye and all that we talked about the issues in the north. There are a couple of movies like that, even on the same Netflix that is very accessible. There's a Fisherman, of course that's not like Nollywood, but yeah. And people are not paying attention to those content. But these people need to make money as well. So I get where you're coming from. I get where they are coming from. And that is why these days I just say, you know what? They are trying.
I feel
they are trying.
You can do feel-good movies. Those are movies that you don't have a lot of expectations. You just want to have a good time, but it can still make sense. It can still make sense.
It can still make sense. It can still make sense.
Feel-good movies can still make sense. You can watch it and you're not leaving dumb. You're like,
I feel like you're just really offended because of the last one you saw recently,
I
right?
know. I can't
Because if
Let me bring it out
you
again.
base your conversation on Chief Daddy 2, you'll be offended. So forget about
I know,
it
I think
and look at the past.
I've seen
And
a lot
there are few
more.
good movies that
I've
just
seen
really
a lot
feel good
more.
movies.
And see, let me explain
But
to
I
you.
like
I don't even
feel
have
good
the
movies.
time to stress my brain
I'm just telling
to
you
watch
people,
it.
Nollywood
it's
is
not,
not
it's not because of that
bad,
movie
please.
that I'm talking about. I've not watched
No, for her, I
But
knew where she's coming from.
But we have a
and
lot
the
of
pain.
good
Let me
actors
bring
and
it out, I
actresses,
guess.
so I'll give them that.
Professor Hyginus Ekwuazi was a former acting head of the Department of Theatre Arts in the Faculty of Arts at the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. He was also Director General of the Nigerian Film Corporation. Ekwuazi currently acts as a jury in several award competitions and festivals, including the African Movie Academy Award, and is an adjunct lecturer at the School of Media and Communications at Pan-Atlantic University in Lagos. And he's joined us live in studio. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor.
Thank you.
So I saw you just looking at this, my two people, going left, right, and center. But, you know, we're here to talk the film industry because I know that there's a world of opportunities in Nigeria and across the world, right, for the film industry. But let us narrow it down to Nigeria. Are we doing really well? Are we really tapping into these opportunities? And if there are opportunities, what are the opportunities that we truly have in the film industry in Nigeria?
Actually, I was listening to them.
Yes.
And to you, really, because both of you seem to have agreed on the same thing. She was at the middle something.
Yes.
And I totally disagree. You see, when you bring in this elitist, when you start looking down on the film, then you are forgetting where the people are coming from or for whom these films are made. If you want to know how successful Nollywood is, you actually said it yourself. The sheer quantum, the sheer volume of production, and those things are not being dumped in the lagoon.
People are
Those
watching
things
it,
are
people
being consumed. It's like you see somebody who sells on the roadside, and you say, look, everything you sell is bad. And every day the person is out there with something new. So who is making the statement that is wrong? What is it that defines Nollywood? Is it the pot boilers? Or is it the top-notch productions? What is it that defines Nollywood, really? You see, because at the end of the day, there is a product here and there is a market there. This product does get to the market, and you see, the filmmaker keeps going back to the same market, keep making, and then you say that he's not doing anything. I want to disagree totally. You have a very, very buoyant industry out there. You know, are there opportunities? If you want to know whether the industry is out there or not, it's a very quick one. That was what was used, remember, to rebase the economy.
Sure.
Even though it's artisanal, it had contributed so much. I think it's been valued at, I can't really get the figure right now.
The Nollywood industry.
Yes, how much has been valued at. So much is...
$5 billion.
Yeah.
$5 billion.
Yeah. So much is happening there, you know. So the elites could say the stories are not gripping. I think that's what you were saying right now. They don't give you this thing, you know, when you watch the films. That is not true.
I don't think for the storytelling, it's not just about the story being gripping, because I mean, thankfully, you know, I'm in the middle, right?
Yeah.
It's about the story making basic sense, right? And
actually,
it being realistic.
No, hold on. I will making a general statement about Nollywood. That's why I say, how do you define Nollywood? Are you using the pot boilers that are down there, bottom of the barrel, to define Nollywood? Why don't you see so much that is happening up there? You know? You see, what Nollywood has done to show that it's a highly successful film industry is that it's now the template for African filmmaking. And if it's a failure, why would it become the template?
So we are not calling it a failure.
No, I'm coming. If you say so much is not being done, or there is so much on the negative side, why has it become the template for the African filmmaking?
Okay. So let me give you an example of what I'm trying to explain. So I think it was Sam Clef that tweeted. He said that Igbo, Nollywood, English and Yoruba movie are the reason why a lot of young boys are doing rituals.
That is, hold on, that is very wrong.
Wait, let me finish what you said.
No, but you started on a wrong basis.
But
Okay,
let me finish.
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is directly to your industry.
Okay, just
it says, so it says they keep promoting fetish stuff in their movies. Nigerian movie producer can do better. Everything must not be based on juju and religion. So this is not even for me. When I say that they're not tapping into the opportunities, I am saying that in Nigeria currently today, we have loads of challenges politically, economically, so many things. I'm not looking for an elitist story. I am not looking for an elitist story What I am seeking for is, even in the local of that story, let there be a basis. I mean, there were things we used to watch before. You go out, you live with morals.
Just a second before we get many points we want to tackle.
Yes.
Number one, that question you just raised, that quotation, something similar was said, and I remember Kenneth Neboy's answer to that. You see, Nollywood doesn't cause those things that are happening out there. It doesn't. Nollywood mirrors those things that happen out there. So when you say Nollywood is responsible for this, that's a very sweeping statement. There is no way you can say that Nollywood actually taps what is out there in order to. That's why the film resonates with the audience.
But do you agree that filmmaking is a tool to re-engineer the society in terms of the mindset and what
yes,
they
that is
look
what
up to
people
and
say.
define as
Hold
success?
Hold on. Yes, it is a tool.
Okay.
You know, but that's where you have a well-structured industry.
So you agree that this industry is not well-structured?
I thought you were asking what I meant by a well-structured industry.
Okay, so what do you mean by
in a well-structured industry? You believe that there are production capital resources out there that government has provided.
Okay.
But again, the private filmmaker can, on his own private something, make films. You know, if I want to make my films, you don't tell me to go and do
your story.
Yeah, to go and do social engineering. You know, I'll make the kind of films that will make me make more films. You know. So if government wants you to make certain kinds, they did it in the US, remember the moral rearmament films? It's been done every so often. If government wants you to make certain kinds of films,
they have to fund it.
You should provide certain within the industry that you tap into. Look at what Jonathan did. When Jonathan gave that, how much he gave, during the Project Nollywood Act.
Bank of Industry?
Yes, through the Project Nollywood Act. Go and check the few films that were made at that time. They were better than films that had made just before that time. And you were able to say, why don't you tweak this story a little? Why don't you do this? Why? You see, if you don't, how do you say? There is actually this thing we say, that he who pays the piper
dictates the tune.
Yeah. So if I want to make my film, I make my film. My eye will be just on the censors board. To what extent will it allow me get this story through to the audience? And once I satisfy myself with that, I go ahead and make it. If you want to engineer your society, then go ahead and engineer it. For me, it will be secondary. That's the attitude in Nollywood. And that's the attitude in Hollywood. And that is the attitude in every film industry.
Okay. So I'm not... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, so I saw a comment the scriptwriter made, and she said that sometimes as a scriptwriter, you write a script, you write a story, and then you give it to the producer or the director, whoever is in charge of that particular movie. But then sometimes the scriptwriters are not even allowed on set. So basically, at the end of the day, you end up seeing your movie on TV, and it is totally different from
hold on. You have to answer one. Who owns the movie?
It's the producer.
So what are you saying?
So why did you hire a scriptwriter?
No, you see,
write the story
no. Because you believe they are talents. You believe you are different. You know, we know what this thing is. You are a scriptwriter. You are a director. You are this. We know all those things. If you write, you give to a producer, and then he hires a director. They want to make the best they can out of it. You have not said the final word.
Okay.
So if a scriptwriter says, I'm disappointed that what came out there was not my film, he's really not saying anything really. Because is it what the producer, is it what the director wanted? You know, the script is not definitive.
True.
And has never ever been definitive. Except perhaps to the extent that you are trying to adapt. It's an adaptation. And you buy the adaptation right with certain this thing given to you that I want this done, I want, otherwise no. The scriptwriter really, once he has written the script, how the script turns out at that
it's
end,
not your business.
It's not your business. And when you say they are not allowed on set, what will they be doing on set?
But wait, I was on a production with African Magic. AM Brethren is a TV series. Scriptwriters are on set. The producer is on set because they are monitoring.
Oh, no. That is allowed, really. In fact, it depends on the kind of...
So maybe it's the structure of the...
Yes.
You see,
it also depends on
well-structured.
Yes. No, you can have the scriptwriter on set, all right. In fact, there are times that as the production is going on, the script is being rewritten.
Yes.
That is done. You know, there's that kind of situation, but in most cases, the script is already complete. The script has gone to the director, he's made his changes, he's given his directorial vision. And the scriptwriter is hardly ever
Don't
consulted
you
after
think
that.
that also speaks to our lack of respect for the crafts that are in between the film industry? Because I think I agree that Nollywood is doing as good as it is now, but it can be better, right? But in being better, there needs to be a level of professionalism and respect for the craft.
I think that
so.
Nollywood
If there is a script writer
Yeah.
who has written a script, and the producer or the executive producer, because yes, like you said, he's bringing the money and he owns the movie, thinks that script is not fit to purpose, it is still the job of that script writer and the executive producer to go back to the drawing board and make it better. But because we want to churn out a movie in 2 weeks, then maybe there isn't enough space or enough room to do that back and forth and ensure that things are done properly. Because having a structure...
Who determines that the script is good enough?
Okay, on that note, I want us to discuss something very crucial, which is income when it comes to the film industry, right? Because you talked about, of course, a lot of movies are underfunded, right? So it's almost like most times it's, you know, pay as you go kind of payment that a lot of people do. But I have heard of some small companies that have been doing well in terms of buying movies from people and all of that and putting it on their platforms. I want us to discuss, you know, a little bit about, you know, the kinds of engagement that we can do better for us to be able to attract the bigger buyers for our films. But when we do come back from the break, stay with us, we'll be right back. Now, if you just tuned in, we're having an amazing chat with Professor Hyginus on film industry, opportunities and challenges. Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. So before I went on the break, I asked the question about the opportunities because we had a very interesting story about Netflix, you know, how they first came into the country and they were buying, they bought a particular movie, and again, your fellow people in the industry now went to them, I can do this movie for less than that amount of money. So, you know, within the system, I hear now that Netflix has never paid any other person that much money that they paid the first person that they ever engaged in Nollywood. So how do we package ourselves better? Because the actors are not really making money. That's why a lot of them do much more things to be able to keep up the lifestyle. Again, because you're putting someone in front of the camera, people just automatically feel that you're a billionaire. You know, so what can we do to boost that, package ourselves better to attract the big money?
How do we package ourselves really? It comes back to this story. That when you tell a very good story and a very good film results from a very good story, then you are looking for a buyer. You know, now we have a lot of streaming options, a lot of places you can go with your films. There are many things you can do. You can decide to go on the festival circuit. You can decide to go to the cinemas. You can decide to go to any of the streaming networks. And then again, you can decide to go to downstep it to the home video. So there are all these options. But it depends now. If I make my film, say, with 10 naira, and I know that within 6 months, I can recover this 10 naira and still have another 10 naira on top of it. If I go through this, that's where I'm going to go. So it will depend on my outlay in the first instance. And depending on what that particular streaming outlet requires. And if I can meet it, then but let's get something clear. You see, there are opportunities in the industry, and opportunism is not a bad thing. There are people who take opportunities, who seize it, as they say, by the forelock, and then run with it. Take how Dstv started showing Nigerian movies, because you just made mention of, what did you say?
Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix. Because all they need see is a small opening, and they go into it and they capitalize. That's how what happened, how Dstv got into showing Nigerian films. I was then the DG of the Nigerian Film Corporation. I recall that very well. And I remember going to the National Council on Information with a memo asking that the film corporation that I was heading be given a channel or allowed to have a TV station to show Nigerian films. And the position taken was that no, we won't allow the Film Corporation get a TV station. But what you can do, liaise with NTA. NTA will give you a channel, and then you show
Through
Nigeria. Yes,
that platform.
and then you have a dedicated channel for Nigerian films through NTA. So it was agreed that the Film Corporation and NTA should collaborate and get this. And I remember that Peter Igo was then detailed by NTA to discuss with the Nigerian Film Corporation. We held 2 or 3 meetings, and after that we never met again. But what we agreed was, number one, we are going to have this channel for Nigerian films, and NTA will take 30%, 33%, I beg your pardon. Film Corporation will take 33%, and the filmmaker will take 33%.
We share fairly.
We share fairly. But by the time I got back, I felt, okay, what we can do, our own 33%, we'll give it to the filmmaker so that he gets 2/3 of whatever the destiny is. And then we held a meeting in the Lagos office here. And I remember a particular filmmaker, and he commanded a lot of following who came there, raised one question. If I make my film with 10 naira, and you make your film with 5 naira, and both films end up showing on the dedicated channel, do we get the same returns? And I said yes. Because showing on the same channel has reduced you to the same level. So you cannot say, I pay you this, I pay this person, so it will be the same thing. That was where the meeting ended and never
Took off.
Yes.
The next thing, the channel was...
The next thing, that's when Dstv, I think they heard of it. Not I think, I know they did. Because they didn't offer them this window, and they all ran to it. And Dstv started paying them a pittance, but it was paying in hard currency. And by the time they had collected this money some while, they now came back to the Film Corporation asking me to... They were protesting that they were not being well paid where they were.
Interesting.
You know, so, but the point I'm trying to make is that opportunism, you see, and that's how all these networks come in. They saw that tiny opportunity, and they took it, and look at what it has done. How many channels do they have for Nollywood movies on Dstv? But then, if you look at it, is that bad?
You tell us, you're the professor.
Okay, I like the way you started answering her question regarding packaging, and you said it still goes back to storytelling, right?
Yes.
Even though you've not agreed with the story being good or bad, I just want us to, I want to, based on your experience.
No, I didn't agree. I did not say...
You didn't agree and you didn't disagree?
No. I'm very definite about whether a story is good or bad.
So who defines it?
Who defines it?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I was saying.
So my question really is, in order to find a solution,
actually, who defines
right?
it is the audience.
Okay.
True.
In order to get a solution, and you've been in this industry, I mean, for you to be called the professor in the film and industry, then you have the experience in terms of training the craft that we look up to today. So what would you say is the steps to having a good storytelling? If the scriptwriter is not going to have the final say, the executive producer has the final say, I guess, what will be the necessary steps to take in order to ensure that your story is good, if we're going to get the packaging right?
The packaging right is to get a good story.
So what are the steps?
Do you know in Hollywood, they call the story the property. If there is no property, there is nothing else. It's because there is a story that everything now is around the story. So the thing is to get a good story. How then do you define a story? Like I said, who gets the story? The story is written for the audience. It means that the scriptwriter knows the audience is writing for. And then he knows what the audience wants. You see, let me put it this way. The film industry works on the basis of what we call the recycling syndrome. That once a film is successful, you reduce it to a formula and then produce films like that. You know? And it guarantees that you are going to get your investment back. So when you see a successful film, make another successful film in that mold. And you
just use that template.
Yes. You reduce it to a formula and then you make that. And then you know, that's why if you look at certain seasons, it's about the same nature of films coming up. You know? Because that's the surest guarantee of success. So to come back directly to what you are saying, simply get a good story that will find resonance with the audience you have in mind. So who defines the audience then? It will be the scriptwriter, and because the producer or who will buy the script will tell you the audience he is writing for. Or if you buy the script, you want to know for which audience that script is meant.
Yes.
And whether you then make a film for that. So I think that is that when you get it right like that, but get something clear again. You could get a very good script, but it fails in production. You know, and that's why I say the story is very good, but on the whole, the film is not quite good. You know, if you are looking at a successful production, it means that everything is good. You can't single out anything. The acting is bad, the story is good, the direction is fantastic. It's a bad film. It means there must be a play to. Everything about the film is good. Wow. So how then do you get that done? It's a question of ensuring, it's quality control. Ensuring that everything at every stage, you know, is on that plate, that everything is good.
So you are a lecturer, or Jennifer, do you want to come in?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say, I was going to ask a question. In your professional opinion, aside funding, what do you think that our film industry, what do you think the challenges are for our film industry?
The challenges, you know, for me, I will always go back to funding, but you said if we leave out so if we leave that out, the other issue will actually be the issue of manpower. That you have the right people, you know, the value, you know, in the value chain. You see, from the script or from the idea to the screen, you are dealing with some 253 different trades and professions. You know, so if you have the right people in all these things, then you are going to roll out a good production. That's what it is, you know. But it's a question of, you see, if we want to narrow it down to Nollywood, for instance, I see very good stories in Nollywood. That's why I would disagree with the two of you. I see, you know what a friend of mine, a scholar, has said, and I'm talking of Professor Okome. He says that if this civilization, if Nigeria as we know it were to be wiped off today, and a group of aliens were to come from outer space, if they had access to our films, they would be able to reconstruct our lives. That's a profound statement.
Yeah, because we are replicating or depicting
precisely
who we are.
Yes, in those films. It may be exaggerated here and there, but essentially that's what we are doing. You know, so to that extent, Nollywood is really succeeding. But the point is that to move it to the next level, it will be a question, because you are so much interested in the story.
Yes, I am.
It will be a question of realizing actually that the story, in terms of the story, if you don't bring in technique, the story is dead. Because you are going to find that what you have in Nollywood, in Nollywood, is that you have a concentration on themes, on the story, not on technique. Whereas in Hollywood, the emphasis is on the technique,
okay,
not with the story.
Let me go back to why,
Yeah.
because I'm dealing with a professor here.
Man.
So there is what they say that what you see over time, you become, right?
Yeah.
That's the power of vision.
Yeah.
So that's why they tell us as people, write your vision, put it in front of you. As you see it, you become who you are seeing every day, you manifest that. So the point I'm trying to make is, I get it that this is who we are today. But if we truly want to position the film industry to be a benchmark of where we want to go to in the future, shouldn't we start to tell different stories? I mean, you go in the news, there's hardly any day that you go in the news that you do not see a boy trying to kill his girlfriend, plucking off her eyes, plucking off her nails.
Nollywood is the cause of that?
No. I'm not saying Nollywood is the cause of it. I mean, I need you to follow my train of thought here.
Yes,
you know?
I'm doing that.
You know, the thing is, so I'm saying that if we keep saying this over and again, it will not stop. It will just continue to multiply and amplify.
Let me tell you.
So
the story you tell is you. You cannot tell a story outside yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Professor, you're not helping matters.
No, it's not that. I'm just being more realistic than you are being. You know.
Well, I'm trying to be futuristic.
You can.
Actually,
Can I
thought
say
you were going to
something?
say that based on what you have said before, that the government needs to invest in telling
hold
those
on.
sort of stories.
Forget about this.
Because you cannot tell the private person what
let me
to
tell
do.
you. Just a second. I'm coming. Just a second. You see, I have seen young filmmakers. I train young filmmakers, and I watch the films they make as their projects. The other time we had how many students who graduated and they all made their project films. There was this darkness in all the films. And I remember the external examiner saying, what is wrong with the youths of today?
Wow.
There is this darkness in all the films made. Somebody is killing somebody. These are young kids. And a few days ago, I watched another project, this thing again. The two groups. And the same thing, the same darkness. You see, there is the heart of darkness that we have become.
Yes.
And that is what we are projecting. And then you are telling me that you can't leave your shadow behind.
Yeah.
So that is who you are. I suppose that's the point Okume was making. When he says that the aliens will be able to reconstruct our lives from the nature of the films we have made. But within that, you can still make a film that has a ray of light.
Okay, so in America,
Yeah.
I remember
America.
wait now, I didn't want to go there, but let me go there small.
Yeah.
I remember many years, they could not even nurse the idea of having a black man as a president. But I know how much the role that the film industry played. You understand? Depicting movies of the possibility. Even now, they've been doing a lot of movies of the possibility of a female president, doing series like that.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So we are planting seeds today for what we want to see tomorrow. That is what has happened in America. Why is Nollywood not tapping into that? It beats my imagination, because I know the most powerful tool right now is the media.
Yeah.
Is what we are seeing. That is the most powerful tool to change any situation.
What you're saying is beyond dispute. I agree with you, it's the most powerful tool. And then you put it, but this powerful tool has always been in the hands of the common man. And for you to make the common man do something better, you need to enable him.
Incentive.
Yeah.
You need to provide grants, you need to provide certain opportunities for him to make the kinds of film.
That's so true.
Otherwise, the kind of film or the kinds of film he's going to make will be the kind that resonates with the audience. They will pay him and he goes back and makes another film. I always refer people to the moral rearmament films made in the US in those days. So yes, it's not that we can't make, I must agree with you, the most powerful, see what America has done. You know, we say the media are American, but see what America has done with the same-sex marriage.
True. Every single series.
Yes, it's there. Even in Tom and Jerry.
Movies, yes.
Even in Tom and Jerry.
cartoons.
Yes, it's there already.
Planting the seed.
So they are fighting the battle with the media.
Yes.
And they are succeeding. So I agree. It's beyond dispute that it's the most powerful tool. But it has to be a direction, you know. And then apart from a direction, there has to be something, a basis, something on which that direction is based to make it possible to arrive at that end. In fact, there's even something like I was discussing with some of my students. The whole Sabido type of filmmaking is absent in Nollywood. And that's where social engineering is. You know, that using series, you know, that's the whole thing is absent or just barely there in Nollywood. Gradually we'll get there.
Because series are very expensive.
Okay.
He says, okay. Series are very expensive.
But you are dealing with an industry that is actually expensive.
Yes.
But where do we go from here?
Where do we go? Yeah.
We are going in the right direction.
Okay.
Many stories will be told. Some will be good, some will be bad.
Of course.
They go together.
Yeah.
And
Even
they
Hollywood
define-
still have bad movies.
They have bad
Oh,
movies,
yes.
A
definitely.
lot. Yeah.
But you must remember that if there is no audience out there for the films will not be made.
Yeah.
I know something about films, like we keep saying. A film must be consumed immediately. It's not like a book or a work of art. Van Gogh painted all those his pictures. They waited until a generation came. The same thing if you take the guy who wrote Portrait of the Artist as a young man. All those writers, they waited until the right generation came. With the film, you don't wait for a generation. Your audience is here and now. And the moment a film is made, it must be consumed here and now. Thereafter, it starts losing value. You know? So I think we are going in the right direction. We must learn to crawl, and crawl expertly before we start walking at all. But I think the mistake you are making,
Okay.
and I mean, I'm particular to put a few.
But of you.
Yes. You see, the mistake you are making is that you are like the critic who saw his dog walking, W-A-L-K-I-N-G. And then he watched the dog walking for some time, and he was torn between, the dog was trying to walk like a man. And he was torn between, do I condemn it for trying to walk like a man and doing it badly, or do I praise it for trying at all? You are condemning.
Seeing the glass half full or half
Yes.
empty.
You and I are on the right track. So we are saying, yes, we must praise that it is attempting it at all.
Okay, very quickly, I want to get your take on marketing and PR for movies, because one of the things I've also put out on social media, those who follow me have probably seen it, is the fact that some of the movies that somebody like her would see and applaud in terms of storytelling and mirroring where we want to be, or even talking about what the issues are right now, don't get the attention, the media coverage, even the people who are supposed to see the movie and don't know.
It is not because they are. It is not because they are that kind of film.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. What do you think is the role of marketing and PR in film
promoting
production?
movies, film distribution?
You see, it's not. There is. You see, if they will tell you that there are different ways of marketing a film. If you see what happens in Hollywood, you know, the moment a film is made, then you hold a premiere, and that first premiere you hold is actually to a select audience, and based on their reactions, they've developed gadgets that they can test. When the audience liked what they saw, when they didn't quite like it, when they applauded, they can gauge all those things. And then based on the data from that, they go back and work on the film again. That hasn't yet surfaced here.
Okay.
And then you have promotional tours. And then you have a lot of things they do to acquire what we call
Mind awareness.
Yes.
Toma.
Yeah. And that is not happening yet. It happens with the man with the big Kunle Afalarian. He's my man any day. He does advertise his films very well.
Of course, Mo Abudu does.
Yes,
The best.
she does. Good. You know, so somebody like him or like them, before they make a film, they already know where it's ending. In fact, they've already started marketing it.
Definitely.
Because they don't see production as distinct from marketing.
Okay.
Yeah, they go together.
But do you think a lot of producers need to understand that?
What you have in Nollywood, you have a situation where the production arm, there is so much activities going on in the production arm, frenetic, and it overwhelms what is happening in the distributive arm of the industry. So you have an industry that is wobbling, it's not quite well balanced, you know. But the situation today is far better than it was 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
True.
That's why I think that we are crawling and we are getting there. We'll soon
So let us start seeing the dog and commend him for attempting to
not
walk.
let you are still seeing it, but you are refusing to commend him. You know, it's not.
Professor, that's not what I meant.
I honestly believe that we have fantastic filmmakers out there. If there is one filmmaker or producer that once I hear he has put out a movie, I'm one of the first people to go watch it, and it's Kunle. Because I know that
the story has depth, my sister.
From the acting, the people who are acting, everything from start to finish, you can see that a lot of work has been put into this. There are some movies that you see and you know that it's because you are my friend. That's why I want you on this set. Come on.
No, but does that film have its audience?
Of course it does.
That's all that matters.
Of course it does.
Yeah, that's all that
On
matters.
that
You are not part of the audience of that film.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
The movie was not made for you.
Yeah, that is it.
Go and watch the one that was made for you, my dear.
Thank you so much, Prof. I mean, we've had a fantastic conversation. We didn't even take messages. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Elsie. We ran out of time. All right, so before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram. It's at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our social media engagement, and remember to like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed this quote, here it is again. There is always a hit and a flop. It's part of the working in the film industry. Yes, so we'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.